So in Halo Reach on the mission The Pillar of Autumn, your objective is to protect the Pillar of Autumn, but the game developers put it so insanely far outside of the map that it's basically impossible to reach. So can we get to it anyways? Let's give it a shot! So the Pillar of Autumn on the mission The Pillar of Autumn in Halo Reach is located at the end of the mission The Pillar of Autumn. Well, pretty much at the very end of this mission. Now, the area surrounding the Pillar of Autumn is not actually solid. This construction platform thing has no collision whatsoever. But the actual Pillar of Autumn, if you can somehow find a way to get to it, does have collision. But therein lies the problem. The Pillar of Autumn is really far outside the map, and it's floating in the air. So not only would you have to somehow find a way to land on the top of it, but you would also need to be able to get enough distance to even make it there. And before you could even think of that, you'd still have to find a way outside of the map. So, how are we going to do this? Well, it starts with a concussion rifle. So getting a concussion rifle seems pretty straightforward, right? Not the case. The only enemies that have a concussion rifle on the mission The Pillar of Autumn are what are called BOB elites. Basically, BOB elites are special characters that if you don't kill them quickly enough, they'll just completely disappear. And even if you do kill them, you have to pick up their concussion rifle pretty much immediately, or else that will also disappear. To add to the difficulty of this, getting to the Pillar of Autumn requires two skulls, the Cowbell skull and the Tilt skull. The Tilt skull makes enemies have a lot more health, which makes them a lot harder to kill. And the BOB elite has the highest health of any elite in the game. Past that, the BOB elite on this mission spawns in 2 different locations, and it only spawns sometimes. I had to restart the mission 5 times before I was able to successfully kill it and pick up the concussion rifle that it drops. Okay, I got the concussion rifle finally. We're ready to proceed. Now that I had the concussion rifle, which was the second most important item that we would need, I now needed to get a ghost. I was going to take this ghost all the way to the end of the mission in order to use it to break out of the map later. But the thing about this mission is that, yeah, the buildings were not meant for vehicles. The game developers purposely designed them so that you wouldn't be able to take vehicles through them. A lot of these hallways are really tight, so this was going to take some navigating. Now, the doorways aren't even big enough for you to fit a ghost technically, that is, if you're going forward. If you turn your ghost around and back into them backwards, you can turn your ghost quickly and it'll allow you to make clearance. Ghost going backwards, fine. Ghost going forwards, not fine. So after you clear your ghost through the initial building, you will then encounter an outside area where 2 hunters will spawn in. For this part, we need to get out of our ghost because there's a locked door. This door doesn't unlock unless you kill one of these hunters. Another thing that's also important is you need to make sure that your ghost has a decent amount of health. To get out of the map later, we will need to shoot it with explosives, so if it's in a compromised safety position, you might find yourself getting the ghost all the way to the end of the mission for nothing. But while navigating the ghost through the initial building was easy because it was mostly just backing through doorways, the second building is where it gets a lot more challenging. The reason for that is because of railings. You have to go up multiple staircases, and the ghost in Halo Reach is not meant to go up these staircases. Like I said, the game developers, Bungie, they designed this mission specifically to make sure that players wouldn't be able to get a vehicle to the end of the mission. Now, the strategy for getting up these railings is pretty simple. You again have to back up, but then you have to get your ghost wedged and hitched up on one of the railings. From here, you then have to tilt it at like a 45-degree-ish angle, and the way that you can tell if you've done this right is if you start moving inch by inch. You will not be backing up these railings quickly, I can promise you that. Now that we've made it up our first staircase, we're not out of the woods yet. We have a more difficult staircase coming up with multiple railings. But before we do that, we still need to navigate through a few hallways. And I would recommend, if you try this yourself, to clear out the enemies on the upper deck before you actually proceed to take the ghost forward, or else something like this might happen. All of these enemies, dude. So we were already 20 minutes into this, and we weren't even on the first step, which was breaking outside of the map. I had to go through a couple more doorways until I reached the stairwell with 2 stairs. Now, the first time I ever tried this, it took me 5 to 10 minutes to make it up these steps. Yes, 5 to 10 minutes to go backwards up 2 20-foot stairwells. But on this attempt, I did this extremely fast, and it was actually a nice surprise. After you make it out of this stairwell, you're pretty much home free. You only have to go through a couple more doorways, and then you're at the end platform where you need to be. But now we're on to our next step. So not only are we going to use the ghost to break outside of the map, we're going to use it to trick the game into letting us have vehicles after a Pelican cutscene where they're normally supposed to despawn completely. Now, this method was discovered by Tenacious Trigosity, so shout out to them, but this does come with a little bit of risk. Now, in order to activate this cutscene, you need to clear out all the waves of enemies until the Pelican flies in near the platform. But before this, I parked the ghost just outside of where the cutscene activates. The plan, after we cleared out all the enemies and the Pelican was near the ledge, was to walk in and activate the cutscene, but as we were doing this, entered the ghost simultaneously. But this also comes with a huge amount of risk. If you don't do this correctly, the ghost will not be there to the end of the mission and you will not be able to break outside of the map, which means you'll have to do the setup to get the ghost there all over. But now, it was the moment of truth. So, yeah, I didn't do it correctly. And you see the problem? If you try to revert to a time when the ghost existed, you're on the other side of this cutscene and it no longer exists. So that meant if we wanted to pull this off, I had to do this setup with the ghost all again. And not to mention, I had to get the concussion rifle off the BOB Elite once more. 20 minutes later, I was at the ghost again, and this time I did it successfully. Now, you do have to get in the ghost immediately after you get past the cutscene, or else it will despawn. There, we got it. Okay, now we need to get a crate outside of the map. So for our next step, we need to pick up a sniper rifle from the top of this base, and then we need to take one of the weapons crates that's inside and launch it outside of the map. The plan is to use a pile of grenades, shoot it with a sniper rifle while standing on top of the crate to launch up all the way to the Pillar of Autumn. But to do that requires us getting those tools outside of the map first. This turned out to be more difficult than I thought because there's only 2 weapons crates, and the first one I accidentally knocked off the edge with the concussion rifle. Okay, Alex, you need to come over here. We need to get this crate. Then I instructed my brother to get this crate out of here, and he took that quite literally. Not off the edge, like you just hit it right off the edge.
You said you wanted it out of here. Stop yelling at me. You're hurting my feelings.
Oh, nice. We got a check one.
Ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to throw a grenade.
Yeah. Can you let me hit it?
Perfect. Okay, now we need to get the ghost out of the map. So we need the crate and sniper to be able to launch to the Pillar of Autumn, but we need to get the ghost on top of the same ledge in order to be able to break outside of the map barrier. To do this, I simply threw a plasma grenade behind the ghost and shot a concussion rifle at the same time. Without the concussion rifle, this would be pretty darn difficult to do. Now that we had the crate and the ghost where they needed to be, we now needed to double jump and concussion rifle boost on top of this pipe so that we can make it to the ghost and the crate. Okay, head up there. The reason that I boosted my brother up first is because, well, he's naturally worse, but also he needed to carry the sniper out there to use for later. I had 3 players in this lobby, one which I was controlling a laptop, which you haven't really seen. I used this player to boost myself out of the map so that I had a concussion rifle up here because we would need it as well. Using a plasma grenade and the concussion rifle, I launched this crate further outside of the map. The top of this building that we were standing on was still technically not outside the map barrier, which is exactly why we need our ghost. To get ourselves to break out of the map barrier, we need to move the ghost all the way to the edge near the pipe. Then we need to have a player crouch all the way up to it. Once you drive the ghost further on the top of the building after doing this, this will allow you to break outside of the elastic barrier so that now you're truly free to roam outside of the map. There we go. Now that we're home free, my objective is to use the concussion rifle and grenades to hit this crate to an advantageous position where I can line it up near the Pillar of Autumn. Now, I wasn't sure exactly where this would be, but I wanted to make sure that it was in an area outside of the normal playable map because I didn't want to have any chances of hitting a map barrier when I was trying to pull off this launch. But I found out that I got a little overzealous. I completely forgot about the sniper rifle, so I had to turn around and pick up the sniper rifle from my brother who was still stuck in the map. Luckily, in Halo 3 and Halo Reach, once you break out of the map, you have different properties that allow you to go in previous areas where there were barriers and not be susceptible to them. There's not really a ton of spaces where I could set up this crate that would be easy to get to. Right behind this building is a pretty large mountain, so getting it on top of that isn't going to be helpful because I won't be able to do it even if it would be a better position. Now, I figured my best bet was probably just to knock this crate to the side near the edge. I saw a little grassy patch that looked like a perfect spot to be able to line this up on, and I very quickly discovered that that grassy patch is not real. There is no collision for it. But in another surprise, when I jumped down to this area of the map, I didn't actually end up dying, and I was able to fall to an even lower level where the crate was. Although we were over an hour into this already, our luck was starting to turn around. Okay, what we need to do here is get a bunch of, pile of probably 5 grenades on the side of this.
Okay, I got this. Launch me. Launch me.
Well, we need the grenades first.
Launch me. Thank you.
This seemed like it was the closest possible spot that I could set up this crate to launch on the Pillar of Autumn that was within sight of it. But now we were on the last step of this. We needed to set up the rig that was going to allow us to launch all the way to the top of this. To do this, I instructed my brother to line up in front of this crate so that I could repeatedly kill him. The goal was to get him to drop at least 5 frag grenades. Once he did this, I would then use an AR to shoot them all into a pile up against the crate. Once I had my nice, tight, neat little pile, I would then move the crate several feet away from the pile and instruct my brother to stand on top of it. You need the pile to be a little bit far away from the crate so you don't die every single time from the momentum.
What am I doing?
You're putting the frags and you're shooting them up against the crate.
The fuck?
Well, there goes the crate. So my brother shot the grenades with a DMR, which makes them explode.
Why'd it blow up?
This guy.
Why'd it blow up?
Which meant that we had to set this crate up again. Because what did you shoot it with? A DMR?
I don't know, dude.
Did you shoot it with an AR or DMR?
You know the answer to this question. So dumb. Rolls around in a circle.
See? Look at that. After setting up a 5 frag grenade pile, I then moved the crate about 2 to 3 feet in front of this pile. I had it about perfectly in the center of the crate and then told my brother to stand on top of it. This was going to be another one of those tricks where I wanted my brother to try and land it. Now, in order to get power for these launches, we have to use the sniper rifle because it has the most power of any rifle. For whatever reason, when you shoot a grenade stack with a sniper rifle, you go far further than if you were to use another gun. And luckily in Halo Reach, the checkpoint system is very generous. Pretty much all you have to do in this game is just wait around and eventually a checkpoint will populate. But now, we were finally ready to pull this off. Cue the music. Bye-bye. Whatever.
Why? Noise towards you.
Ooh, ooh. Ah!
Now you're gonna get like way above it. Alright guys, call him Larry. He's the real Shilt show to show up.
Please. Just hit it, dude.
I think you just need more grenades. Need one more.
My brother and I tried this for half an hour before we decided that we needed more grenades for this grenade pile if we wanted to pull this off. The Pillar of Autumn's collision is deceptive. You have to land almost at the very top of it in order for you to not slide off. So what we did was we set up another grenade pile, but this time with one more grenade, so we were using 6 frag grenades instead of 5. Are you getting less height this time?
But stop shooting. Like, give me a second. Yes, I am. Give me a second to back up. What the hell's going on? Why am I getting so much less height?
Because the grenades aren't as close. There's those two ones that... Here, let's move this back and get these in again. So even though we had more grenades this time, while we were waiting for the checkpoint, 2 of the grenades randomly started rolling, so we didn't have the tightest pile that you could have. This meant that we had to reset the grenades once more, but instead of using 6 this time, we instead decided to use 8. We wanted to make sure that we had too much power instead of not enough. But now, we were 1 checkpoint away from being able to do this.
Yeah, anyways, Banjo-Kazooie. It's like, yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, good game. Like, all right, we're gonna make a sequel. Banjo-Tooie. Storyline continues. We have some new levels. That's it. No one wanted Banjo 3, where you build a bunch of shit that no one wants. They wanted Banjo
3.
Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, but Banjo 3.
That game was unmatched vibes, dude. You had, like, literally every season in that game, man. Like, Halloween, Christmas, it was awesome.
Yeah, dude. Halloween, Christmas, summer, every season.
Come on. Yes!
Oh, nice.
Let's fucking go, dude.
Actually, we're right. You just gotta get up far enough on it. The angle.
Whew.
What are these boxes? What the hell is this?
See, this is where I'm glad that I didn't pick up the armor lock, because the way the Termasius Tricosity did it, they require you to have armor lock, but I managed to do this whole trick. Well, getting out of the map, you need armor lock. But you don't, because I figured that out. I love these blue lights, dude.
Why are they here? I can't see them from the... No.
Yeah, you can't see it down there, but I love how the fact that it's nothing but just the same color, really bright, and then flashing.
Strobing.
It's like an error in the game. Dude, I never noticed this red stripe down here. That's pretty cool.
Communist.
I don't think it's actually part... I think it's literally a separate color sheet instead of just making that part of the Pillar of Autumn red.
Yeah, just put it over it. Holy shit, dude. This thing is crazy. I'm still going. Wait, can I touch it? I like twains. I like twains.
I'm going down. I'm yelling timber.
Twains.
Yeah, that checkpoint actually really does.
Oh well. Goodbye. Look at these guns, dude.
They really
like half the size of my
people that get up here. Dude, that ship, that cruiser looks sick, but look at the actual map that you play in, dude. There's literally none of the map that you played before. It is actually... Look down at that battle. It is crazy the amount of stuff in this scene. The amount of things that are moving. Those tanks. Love how they're running through each other.
Dude.
Could they have at least got the path of the tanks to not run through each other?
Wait, look so look at the Scarab and then go forward and go right. What are all those things down there?
Those are all destroyed frigates, I believe. Yeah, because look, this is an airstrip. because there's a bunch of planes down here.
So what is this big ass thing?
This is the Pillar of Autumn we're on.
This is the Pillar of Autumn? This is not looking.
Yeah, every game has a different Pillar of Autumn, which is hilarious. Like, this one actually looks proportional to, like, I don't know. Actually, no run is going to be proportional to the Halo CE.
No, this one looks like a little short guy.
They deceived everyone with the Pillar of Autumn in Halo 1, because it was so, like, the amount of distance that you had to travel. Like, the fact that I can run across this in 2 minutes and you have to drive a Warthog for like 6 minutes on the Maw.
Well, then you have that very strange middle of Pillar of Autumn's cut in half for no reason part. Halo's a master. They're masters at making you never question any of the stuff that makes no sense.
Skybridge. Can you get on this? No. You can't.
No, dude. That's me after eating a bunch of hot sauce the next day. That's my butthole. Quivering. It's quivering. See, what you don't see is me pulling the trigger.
There we go.
Ow.